How's it going, guys, and welcome to Morning Cup. We start today off with calls for war. Now, China has officially put out a statement that it will be willing to go to war over the independence of Taiwan, stating that if Taiwan believes that it is going to be garnering independence in its truest fashion, it is sadly mistaken, and China is going to do everything in its possible power to ensure that it gains control of the island back again. Now, Taiwan is a sovereign state by all specs of the imagination. Taiwan has also gone out of its way on numerous occasions to dictate the fact that it's not going to go down without a fight. And if China is to infiltrate the island, it is going to use everything in its possible arsenal to hold off any kind of Chinese incursion. The United States, on the other hand, has also stated the fact that it's going to stand solemnly behind Taiwan, and it has disregarded any calls to war from China, stating that it holds no ground that China is dictating paces when it comes to the South China Sea as well as the independence of Taiwan and Hong Kong. Now, from one story about Chinese incursions being thrown out of the gate to the next, with Hong Kong now officially getting visas from the United Kingdom. Now, the UK has put out a statement stating that it is going to be launching a visa scheme for residents of Hong Kong, thereby directly standing in the way of China, stating that it is the real owners of Hong Kong, if you will. Now, the United Kingdom states that this is their stand for freedom and autonomy in Hong Kong. Being a British colony, Hong Kong has always had the right to be a democracy ever since it was given its own autonomy and was refused to be given to China, despite of China making numerous claims even back then. When it comes to this now today, that China is no longer going to be in control of Hong Kong, but China, out of every country in the world, is the most capable of going to war for something as petty as this, because China has been filing disputes over land, over borders with numerous nations, be it India, be it Japan, be it Taiwan, be it Hong Kong, be it Tibet, be it Australia, be it Canada, be it every single country that is nearing China. It all boils down to the fact that China is not going to understand before things just blow up in its face. The bottom line being that you can't just push the world around till you get what you want. And if you choose to do so, there are going to be consequences for your actions, consequences that you are directly going to be held accountable for. And even though you're a communist regime, you should understand the fact that when the people in your own regime understand that you're trying to violate human rights, there will be an uprising the likes of which you've never seen. And maybe this is what the people of China need to finally turn this communist regime into a democracy, led by the people for the people. It's only something that one can hope for. Move on to the fact that Mexico has now officially overtaken India in death count when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, India, being one of the largest populated countries in the world, was obviously going to be looking at a larger rate of death, considering just the sheer amount of people that live here. Well, it turns out that Mexico is going through a very bad phase of the pandemic. The pandemic is running rampant in Mexico, as well as infecting more people than you can comprehend. With little to no medical aid, little to no vaccine aid, turns out that now people in Mexico are just dropping like flies, if you will. It is truly a shocking scenario to understand that a country as small as Mexico, a country that has barely the same amount of people living in it as India, has now officially had more deaths than India. It just goes to show that this pandemic is as prevalent as ever. And I say this as many times as I possibly can. You need to take this pandemic very seriously till it's all done and dusted with. And if you don't, and if you get complacent, this is exactly what we see. People even in India have just let go of the whole context of being safe from the pandemic. You barely see anyone wearing a mask, you barely see anyone social distancing, you barely see anyone even adhering to the sheer consequences that follow if you ever receive a lethal dose of this pandemic straight. Well, with the vaccines being rolled out as soon as they possibly can, it's anyone's guess if even people are going to be willing to take this vaccine in the first place. People in India don't want to wear masks, let alone go out of their way to get a vaccine. I highly doubt that's going to be something that's going to be easy to get the people of India to take. We move on to the final story of the day, which is the rather interesting one, and which is obviously going to spawn off an episode of Disclosure 101 as well. Stay tuned to this space for that, but something crash landed in Antarctica. Now, NASA was scanning through its satellite images as it does on a regular basis, and something came to its eye when it observed something that appeared to be a crash landing zone in Antarctica. Now, by the looks of it, it appears that something crash landed in Antarctica and grinded to a halt. But when you zoom out and when you look at the larger scale of things, there is nothing prevalent at the end of this trail, supposed trail that is formed from an impact that grinded through the ice. What might have crash landed there, and even if something did crash land there, where did it go? Even if it was a meteorite, if it crash landed, if it did not disintegrate into in the atmosphere like every other meteorite does, and if it did indeed crash land onto the earth without exploding with sheer kinetic force, that means that it had enough mass in it to stay together even when it made impact. But if it did, how come there was no data that was captured on impact? And if it did make impact and did come to a grinding halt, where is it at the end of the trail? It just isn't there. There is just this mysterious trail that appears out of nowhere. Now, scientists have looked into this, they're completely perplexed. There are no answers out there, just leaving speculation. And speculations galore always leads to one thing and one thing only: extraterrestrial life, extraterrestrial landings. So, if Antarctica indeed has officially been the harbor of an extraterrestrial crash of some sort, or of a crash of a meteorite of some sort, that might have alien origins in any way, shape, or form, you best believe we will keep you updated. And for more information on this specific crash and more crashes like it that haven't been explained at all, and yet alone check all the boxes when it comes to having aliens or extraterrestrial objects landing on the earth, make sure you go and check Disclosure 101 on the same channel. There's a playlist. And until then, this has been your morning cup. We'll see you tomorrow for more news.